for map 1 of this series. Alright then, so we're going in-game and we are starting to the upper right-hand side of the map where we do have our blue Zerg player. Sponsored by Red Bull, but currently teamless, it is Nerchio. What a run it would be for him after a difficult group that he just squeezed on through there, through those tiebreakers early today. What a difficult group. And then into this playoff match now. What a run it would be for him to make semi-finals here. As we already guaranteed 2 Zergs in the top 4. Can Nerchio make it 3? That's our question. And that's what's going to be hopefully answered very, very soon. As to the bottom left-hand side of the map, we do have that green Terran player, of course. It is, from Korea, MMA. The legend himself. Form is temporary, class is permanent. Some classic MMA quotes and moments, and I mean, how can you not love this guy? He really is truly just an absolute legend of the game. He has so much history behind him. Only so many players can say they've killed their own third base to then have Adra rage quit against them just moments later. He was one of the inventors of the Blue Flame Hellion era of Terran versus Terran. Back in the days of that MLG. I can't remember which MLG that was. Was it Anaheim or so? It might have been Orlando. I really can't remember which one it was. It was way back towards even the very start of my StarCraft career, and when I started watching. So, interested to see how this goes. Intrigued to see if MMA can put up a fight against one of the European gods. He took a map off Sue the other day in a nice little macro game. So honestly, I think all eyes open because this is one to watch, and it really could go any which way in the coming moments, as we do see already a Reaper from MMA. We'll start to head out onto the map. And he's going to be looking to just see if there's anything intriguing in the early stages. Now, of course, he's going to be a little bit cautious here. I'm afraid perhaps in case it was a pool first build or then there's some Zerglings coming his way. He's actually going to keep his Reaper pretty close to home, even though he's got a Marine out as well. This Marine could poke this Overlord away a little bit. And with the Marine here, he can maybe send the Reaper out, but he's just been very cautious about it. As this Overlord doesn't even see... I mean, this is the thing though, MMA sent the Reaper away from this Overlord, so if the Lings were going to come in, they should have come in by now. MMA maybe being just a little bit too cautious with that, as he just sits here with this Reaper still at home. Nerchio not doing much at all. Again, it was Hatch Gas Pool, so in the end there wasn't anything to worry about no matter what. But without a scout earlier in the game, obviously MMA doesn't know that, so he's just playing in case... He's playing kind of like the in-case game, you know. Well, it could have been something along those lines, right? Do you see the third hatchery from Nerchio drops on down? So far, the standard ZVT build order for him. He on Blue Shift, a map which is, I think, if I was reading it correctly yesterday when I was looking back through the VOD, I think -0 said this map was based on the Frozen Temple map, which I can kind of see, but honestly, I'm still just going to say this map really reminds me of Catalyst. It really, really does remind me of Catalyst in a lot of ways, and made by -0, the maker of Catalyst, does make sense. So we're just going to be seeing the couple of Hellions of the Reaper gathering back together on the bottom left-hand side, and MMA not being overly aggressive just yet as he goes in towards the Viking. We've seen a lot of these Viking plays in towards Cloak Banshee or Medevac later on. So much versatility in how you can open and just play TvZ in general right now, from bio play to mech play, from opening in one way or the other. As you do see again, the couple of Hellions and the Reaper coming up the right-hand side. They're going to be poking forwards to see what they can do. As this Marine currently nibbling its way through this Overlord, the Viking working its way through that Overlord as well, is going to get the kill nice and quick. As I love it, MMA faked out the... oh, look at that, he's going to play mech. Oh, awesome. Well, he faked out the Cloak Banshee here, and maybe even the Stimpak as well, right? What did Nerchio exactly see? Let's just double check that. He saw both, so... oh, maybe Nerchio... maybe that was actually a bit too soon of a lift. Actually, MMA, because Nerchio did see the starport lifting off, so you'll know it's not Cloak Banshee. But does he know it's a switch into mech here? That barracks lifting off the tech lab makes room for these two factories. The reactor will build on the starport. What we'll see here in the near future is going to be that 4-drop, which was one of the big kind of revelations of meching TvZ is, whoa, those Hellions I don't think were meant to go around that way. Maybe a small pathing issue there, based on the fact that, I mean, maybe he like clicked over here and those Hellions were just going around the top side or so. Interesting moment. Either way, What I was just going to say is the 4-drop was a revelation in kind of TvZ mech that allowed mech to become so viable once again, because it was a way for Terran players to basically be aggressive in the early stages of the game with mech, and then keep on being aggressive while they continue to set up, stopping the Zerg from just really building up into as many workers as they want as MMA gets caught. Well, those Hellions go down so quickly. Nerchio, he's going to lose another Overlord in the main. He might get the Viking kill in return. He does. Nicely done there. As MMA starts up the +1 vehicle weapons. No fours just yet, but again, fours and medevac should not be far off. And again, mech play for him. Let's see how it works out. I feel it's a good map for mech. In a lot of the same, for a lot of the same reasons that Catalyst, for example, is a good map for mech. It doesn't have kind of a forward fourth base, I suppose, that you could take. So it doesn't have that kind of like forward fourth base, but it still has a set of bases that you can take and hold fairly easily with mech, and you can push very easily with mech because of the because of these pathways that are very difficult to flank on as the Zerg, and it's very quick rush distance as well for a larger army to move across into, if you have to leapfrog tanks, for example, it really doesn't take too long, especially MMA taking this pocket third base, for example. If he expands down this south side, takes this fourth base down here, he's going to be able to continue pushing along this direction, and, before you know it, he's already found himself towards the third base of Nerchio. He'll probably expand up here for a fourth just to stay away from the Terran player, and there's that hatchery already being queued up as the 4-drop comes on the map. Now, MMA did lose a few Hellions, and so he doesn't have many kind of to follow up from this, so he's not going to go for that big kind of Hellbat 4 combination. He's just going to go for the 4-drop on its own, and the Hellions are moving around the map on their own as well on the other side, just keeping things active and looking to try and clean up some of that creep spread, although the creep is already looking great from Nerchio, pushing through the center of the map as well. He has that Zerg there for vision too, so you can use that to push this creep further forwards. Overlords on the high ground might give him some ability to put a creep team up there as well and just keep that going on. But the 4s are in position right now, and they're already picking themselves off. 6 drones is actually quite a good amount of damage to get things going with here. So not bad to start. And this hatchery actually in a little bit of trouble as well. So already some damage really being dealt. 6 workers, half the damage of a hatchery going down. Very nicely done, as those 4s are still in a little bit of trouble. One of the medevacs goes down, so he actually loses one of these 4-drops. Meanwhile, the Hellions on the map are being chased, as you can see in the picture, by those Zerglings. They turn around to fight now. This one final 4 does get 4 more worker kills, and now it will back away through this right-hand side and continue to harass. Those Hellions are done as well. And again, a couple of them going down, but mostly getting away scot-free. As we're going to be seeing units just gathering in general on this third base, and MMA continues to build up. The loss of one of those medevacs is a huge deal. It takes away a lot of what he can do out on the map. It allows Nerchio to be a bit more free, and it's less damage that can be dealt. As going to be seeing those Hellions going to lead the charge once again. Have to be a little bit cautious here. Blue Flame coming up as MMA will see those Lings and Hydras gathering together, and just going to be seeing the Hellions continue to pull back here off of creep. Hydra's still pushing forwards too as that Overlord getting pushed away right now, and actually a supply block from Nerchio, a small mechanical mistake from him. He would have been supply blocked even if he didn't lose this Overlord in the near future, so he needs to start those Overlords, and there they are. Took a little while, and that is something which can definitely slow him down a little bit at this stage of the game, as both players a macro game here to start things out. 74 workers against the 70. Army supplies are pretty much even, as we do see this Overlord with the Hydralisks inside going to be moving in towards the main base in the next couple of moments. 4 Hellions from MMA to the top left-hand side of the map, as we're going to see Lings, Veins, and Hydras are starting to push on through towards this wall-off, so trying to push this third base, but with a wall-off set up here, I really don't feel as much you can do. I mean, picking away at the wall is fine, as you're going to see a Hydra drop in the main and the natural, getting quite a bit of damage done here at the moment, so actually, this is going to be a little bit of a problem, as we're going to put that other Hydra drop over on the picture-in-picture, because we still have this main army out here as well. Those last few Hydras are going to start getting cleaned up as the other ones were. Only 8 workers lost in the end, and I really thought Nerchio might try and do a bit more of this army, but apparently not, as that Hydra drop is now thoroughly cleaned on out, and Nerchio is just going to be backing away. Only on lair tech though, and without being beyond the lair tech, he's really limited himself to what he can do. He's got an infestation pit, so he can build up into a hive as Hellbats dropping down here and starting to do a little bit of damage. Well, Hellions which morph into Hellbats. Blue Flame now in place, they're a little bit more deadly than before. There's 2 more Hellions still looking to see what else they can do, but chased away by Hydras. But just to kind of reinforce what I was saying, that hive was not building despite the finished infestation pit. And without the hive, you really are in this sort of position where you kind of can't keep on fighting a mech army. You don't have Vipers. Those are really crucial units to kind of play into the later stages. You need Blinding Clouds. You need Abducts. it's very difficult to fight it without those units, unless you have something like Swarm Host perhaps. You need some sort of support for the Lingbane Hydra, and that really wasn't in play as MMA moving out through this bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, Nerchio's coming around the left-hand side, and so we're going to have a little bit of a split play here, as we're going to be seeing those, well, these tanks just continue to move on forwards, and meanwhile Nerchio arrives in the natural, so base trade is going to start happening. Some links in the main base of MMA were just cleaned up already, as MMA not going to even siege up right now. It's got a couple of Hellbats in the main base too, and, well, bases are going to be going down on either side here at the moment. Nerchio is already kind of picking away at the production of the Terran player, well, the Terran player is going to supply block Nerchio so heavily that he's not going to be able to build anything else anyways. Nerchio is just building a spy. He definitely doesn't have the gas to really make much happen here. And some tanks, oh well, those Banes, generally don't want to be using them against tanks, right? But it was a decent set of splash, so it wasn't too bad. As the Hive will go down, Hellbats in the main are going to clean up as well. A couple of Spores are picking up some kills here and there. Those Overlords are still dropping, although Nerchio's just lost so much. But the supply block is maybe one of the least of his issues at the current moment of time. You can see MMA lifting up his orbital or so in that picture-in-picture as well. Continue to move off over to the side. There's just going to be seeing the tanks picking away at this hatchery. And actually, Nerchio in general doesn't have much left over. He's massing spine crawlers on this top side. It's difficult to do against siege tanks, though, as MMA just doesn't know about that base. He sees the edge of the creep and he sees some Banes rolling in. Maybe that gives him the idea that he should push in that direction. Over here just now we see this base being cancelled, and another Hydra or two just splitting up and continue to work their way through this, as MMA is going to push his way in. And again, spines are a weird thing to have in this base tree because there's tanks involved, and the tanks can definitely move their way through this army. Oh, this set of spines, right? So, an interesting scenario. 25 drones left on the map. Army supply for MMA is so high that I just don't think there's a way that Nerchio truly fights that. We have one orbital here in this corner, which is going to go down. That's the last orbital. MMA does have SCVs, remember, though, and it is with the army as well, so you can build another command center, so you can eventually get back to mining, which limits the possibilities of Nerchio forcing a draw who actually can't afford another hatchery. Nerchio has drones, but he can only build extractors and so on. MMA has not rebuilt his base and has been revealed, and that's going to be the same story here for Nerchio in the near future. Oh, he does have a hatchery down to the south side. He'd already queued it up, and that's why he didn't have the money in the bank. So this hatchery's already dropped down in the bottom left-hand corner as Hydra's coming through, starting to work their way through that refinery. There's Hellbats, tanks, Vikings. They are pushing down through this bottom left-hand side. Some SCVs are going to still stick with this. I mean, again, MMA... is that his only building, by the way, more or less? One factory which is going to go down at these heights. He needs to be so careful. I mean, I guess that's why the SCVs are here, so they can build a command center at a moment's notice. But those, I mean, this barracks is going to start taking some damage. It should stay with the army. As we are going to see, MMA finds this hatchery down here. He does start to build another depot. Man, but only a depot? That's so low in hit points. This is so risky here for MMA. He has so few... just anything, so little of anything on the map. Some SCVs are even chasing drones at the moment. Some Hydra's still stuck in this main base. He's going to have to protect this depot with his life. Oh my god. Well, if those Hydras come down from the main, that could be the play here, although there is siege tanks which are going to kill one Hydra already. I don't think it's going to be enough. Those Hydras are going to get chased down. Now they've revealed themselves. Hydras from the other side, and again, the depot will not be targeted for now. MMA is playing the riskiest base trade I've ever seen. He has no reason to only be on one depot. Now, he could be building a command center in this corner or a barracks or anything that can float and fly away, yet he chooses not to as he continues to chase down Hydras. These tanks left behind seem to be enough for now. I mean, I just don't want him to throw this away because he doesn't, like, build that one extra kind of structure in time. Nerchio still has a spore crawler and an extractor over here. He also has an extractor over here as well. This is something which MMA doesn't know the exact location of. Oh my god, he's pulling drones down. Well, this is where MMA is going to have to get ready to build another building because, again, if Nerchio just jumps on this and MMA loses that depot, he's going to be in trouble. He needs to build something ASAP. The supply depot is not being targeted. The tanks are doing their job. MMA is okay. He's building a command center now in the bottom right corner of the map, so he's going to be okay. And that's going to be the game changer here, as we're going to be seeing these drones going for the depot. But the Hydras went down already to this fight, and that is going to be game. MMA says, hey, I have building, just letting Nerchio know. And Nerchio's like, no. Sad face. GG. MMA picks up the base trade victory in game 1. And he is here to bring us one. To the bottom right-hand side of the map, our green Terran player. Give it up if you're cheering on MMA. And to the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg. Give it up if you're cheering on Nerchio. Okay, then game 2, and, well, let's see if it's going to be MMA to take a 2-0 lead on Nerchio to show us that we really do have a series on our hands. First Overlord begins to cross, and we look towards the early build orders, being very similar to the last game already, actually. Hatch gas pool, it seems to be from Nerchio. There's that hatchery coming down. Obviously allows him to basically set up in towards a position which is going to be basically away from the... kind of pool-based play, which would, of course, maybe give him those couple of lings to be annoying with in the early stages. Alright, you can see this Overlord coming down towards the lower right-hand side, and just going to be seeing the initial build order is getting going with this SCV getting ready to build a CC. Here on Cyrus Relay Station, now this is the map with my best and favourite rock, which I'm growing a liking to, slowly but surely. As we do have the Overlord coming through towards the bottom right side, of course, we'll begin to see this expansion gives Nerchio that information that this is an expand and not anything too crazy. You'll also see the Reaper moving out in the next couple of moments too. As that SCV is just building. Nerchio sees it, and the Reaper, we'll see if it wants to actually go across the map this time. Bit of a smaller map, so maybe he does commit across. We have a Lyote on this map. Always fun to see which critters players, or mapmakers, sorry, do include here, as we have a bit of a sandy, deserty map. Some things buried in the sand here and there. It's a fun one, as we see Nerchio already pulling his drone towards the third hatchery. Going to look to get that down nice and quickly as this Reaper moves in towards the natural. I'm just going to be seeing the Lings continue to take some damage. So obviously that Reaper just poking away here. So this map comes in the rush category. It's a fairly short rush distance across the map, as we've just seen with that Reaper moving across, and obviously maybe part of the reason that MMA decides to send his Reaper across, whereas he kept it at home on the last map. There's that lone Marine just hunting for the Overlord in the early stages, or maybe a Zergling or two. Either way, he's just taking back his own side as you see those Lings actually moving across. They're going to catch this Reaper. Well, the Reaper's not going to be there, and some more Zerglings from Nerchio means he is going to kind of put on a little bit of pressure here. He's looking for a few SCV kills. Let's see what he can find. There's not going to be a lot here right away. 2 Hellions are on the way out. Let's see if they're going to be out in time in the next couple of moments. And as we're going to be seeing them popping in the very near future. Those Zerglings continue to come across the map here towards the south side. This Reaper is going to be heading back home. I mean, that's a little bit of something extra to help with. As 10 Zerglings, I mean, they can do some damage if those Hellions are caught off guard. But it looks as though MMA is just so aware of what's going on. He doesn't even have SCVs left on the low ground. He's just looking fantastic at the moment. As you see that Reaper picked off the Lyote, poor guy. Didn't stand much of a chance. A defenseless critter picked off here. Those Lings just still being so patient, just waiting. Maybe just waiting for the Hellions to move out onto the map, of course, a possibility. As soon as those Hellions come out, if those Lings strike, well, suddenly those SCVs will start to fall. So MMA very smart and very patient here to not commit across, aware of the fact those Lings are out on the map. And Nerchio, well, he's just testing his own patience as well, as this Rotron will finish up. Doesn't look as though it's going to be an aggressive Rotron, obviously, with a lair coming through as well. But with this Rotron finish, we're definitely looking towards a Roach-based playstyle. Maybe some Roach speed that can be very aggressive and put on a lot of pressure. As you're going to see the Lings now moving forwards as the Viking does get the Overlord kill at the front. But again, Hellions are still here and they're going to greet those Zerglings very easily and handily. Plenty of Hellions, not enough Lings. A few Zerglings go down, and MMA just straight away goes in towards the third CC, with Stimpack starting to build up on this tech lab. So Stim starts to build in the tech lab as the barracks are looking to take their places onto reactors. Interestingly enough, the starport building the reactor here, usually the factory takes on that job. But it's a little bit of a different take on things, I guess. The tech lab still in the factory means he can maybe, if he needs to, build up that siege tank or so defensively. Viking just about finds the opening to get that Overlord kill as well, as the Hellions try to poke the third base, but obviously don't find enough of an opportunity. Uh-oh! Lings do find their way in, though. This wall-off wasn't completed, and this will be a couple of SCVs at the very least going down. And now some mules in trouble as well. Hellions are on the way back over. Looks as though the mules will be saved, and the Hellions will shut this down completely now, but Nerchio, in the end, he finally found some damage with those Zerglings. It took him a long time, but again, got there in the end, and that is what counts. As we see Stimpack now halfway finished with those barracks finishing too. This bio play is really going to start rolling out. It actually works out quite nicely. Tanks are going to be up in plenty of time as the medevacs come out. Stim will finish, and there'll be a good amount of Marines to potentially push with. However, with Roaches coming across, Nerchio is looking to be aggressive. So even though he's going into Roach speed and +1, it looks as though he wants to get aggressive from the very start. Bunker's on the way up here from MMA, but they're not ready just yet. As those Hellions are going to have to be careful. They may want to try and wait for the Lings, which are flooding across the map, because that's where they're going to be the most useful. First tank does siege up and will be able to start working their way through the Roaches as they start to move forwards here. SCVs wants to get at least one of them onto that barracks bunker, surely to help finish this up. As we are going to see, those Hellions actually do help with a lot of the Zerglings, so that's a big help here. As this bunker is going to finish to the top side, so bunker finishes. Right now, Nerchio, he's just droning behind this, so again, not kind of thoroughly committed attack, looking to kind of tech up behind this. A few SCVs killed off, bunkers force, some damage dealt, you know, the Hellions cleaned out as well. As we're going to see, this orbital has to lift up too, but in general, it looks as though MMA is going to be able to defend this here, and yeah, again, really minimizes the damage dealt, but Nerchio, I guess the big thing is that he's just drawn so greedily from this point. A nice little poke forwards as he continues into this Roach-based style, and I mean, that's the power of Roach players. You can always apply a little bit of pressure if you feel the timing is right, if there's that moment where the Terran is switching their production up. The Roaches are very strong against those Hellions. If there's nothing like a Banshee up, it allows Nerchio to move across the map like that, really. And obviously, it goes very well. Yeah, again, it's just a nice pressure play. A few units, apply some pressure, drone up behind it, his upgrades coming through as well. As we do have these two medevacs coming to the top side. And now we're going to see MMA starting to drop, and that is when MMA really can become the scariest player in the entire world, because his drop play is just absolutely disgusting. So let's see what he can do here as he boosts up to the top side of the map. This Viking did get repaired up back at home and is off on the hunt once again. Already 2 kills on it on Overlords. Well, these Overlords top side might be something he focuses towards, but nice defense from Nerchio. Spore and Queens in location means this drop will not do a thing. Again, seeing a lot of these Overlords, and I feel like the Viking will start to rotate towards that top side perhaps now, knowing those Overlords are there, knowing there's some pickings to be had. The Marines unload is again, there's the Roach Ravager play continuing. Interestingly enough, beyond the +1 missiles, though, he goes straight into the melee upgrade, and that's because he's rushing up this Hive, looking to go straight in towards the Hive tech and in towards the Ultralisk Cavern. It will allow him to hit his late game very quickly. So the idea is the Roaches are very strong early to mid game in swarming numbers, and so the idea is you build those up and use them defensively to be able to just hold on initial attacks while teching very quickly into the Ultras, and to play out from there with kind of Link, Ultra. Eventually you're going to add a Baneland Nest on as well. As we do see the two medevacs continuing through the south side of the map, and these two medevacs of MMA, they're going to be unloading in the near future too, as a few siege tanks just continue to set on up. They'll sat behind this wall often. It just means that it's very difficult for Nerchio to really commit to an attack across the map here. As you're going to see those Marines come in, pick off an Overlord, and now just starting to move back, whereas Lings and Roaches coming in really does just shut down that medevac play there. As again, the Ultras Cavern halfway done, so Nerchio straight into this Adrenal Glands as well, hitting that late game nice and quickly, and there's not going to be much of a chance for MMA to hit like a 2-2 timing before this or anything, so he will really have to go in towards something like a, I guess just play defensively a little bit, start building up in towards Liberators in his own late game. He's just not making movements towards that just yet, and that is somewhat here what concerns me as we see these set of Marines coming up towards the center, top side. You can see a little bit of a stim there. There's one infested which could grab a fungal. Obviously fungals don't lock units down anymore, but even just slowing them can allow for a lot more to be done. He kind of dodges away from it though, and the tanks, you know, he's in safety there, so in a way MMA baits that out. The tank's giving him that cover fire. And scanning into the main base, he's going to see not just as the Hive done, but the Ultras Cavern is done and upgrading. And so now MMA knows that, well, Ultras are on the way. And again, sitting back may very well be the best way for him to approach this, because again, if he attacks with his 2-2 timing at the moment, he's just going to get run over by Ultras so quickly, so easily. Cleaning up some of this creep spread now important on a smaller map like this, otherwise it just feels as though there's nowhere you can move out to. As Nerchio also pushing some creep up the top side. Getting that set up as well, as Roaches, some Ravages, this Infester getting set up. This Viking coming through as well. It's going to start to target down another couple of Overlords. I really thought this Viking would have made its way up here a lot sooner, but makes its way here eventually, and again has a few Overlords it can start to pick away at. The creep clearance squad is back on duty and can just find the Queen there. And lifts up and backs away. Ooh, it's a nice fungal growth, and the Corrosive Biles do not quite connect. Wow, that would have been a huge pick off there by Nerchio. As you're going to see Marines now instead going to unload towards the bottom left-hand side, though. They get a couple of drones, and they start to apply some pressure, going to actually move forwards and chase drones down, finding a few transferring over. I mean, this is going to become 5-6 workers. In fact, even more as he sticks around a little bit longer. 7 workers going down. Nice, considering he loses nothing at all in this drop. It's still active, and will still keep Nerchio at home, stopping him from attacking with the Ultra Force. At the same time, maybe Nerchio doesn't want to attack. He's building up into the Greater Spire. The Corruptor's on the way as well. And as he sets up in towards that, it means that he's going to be able to get in towards a decent number of Broodlords here. As you can see, that Overlord to the south side also being picked off. So as he sets up in towards a decent number of Broodlords, Nerchio's truly going to hit his late game. As obviously MMA has been building up these ghosts for the last few moments. He's starting to get the first of them out onto the map, and he is starting to look towards a 4th base as well. Interestingly enough, expanding down to the south side, looking to push in towards the Zerg rather than taking this base away, which is maybe much more open to run-bys. One of the very frustrating things that could happen if he took that base over there would be Ultra and kind of Ultra-Ling run-bys every single time he tries to move out, and that just forces a good chunk of his army, sometimes even the Ghosts, to go back to clean that up. And of course, as soon as he gets over there to clean it up, Nerchio just runs back away through this top side, and he gets away and doesn't lose anything. It just stops MMA from ever doing anything at all. By taking the south side, he kind of allows himself to push towards the Zerg base, so he has to keep more of his units here, and naturally that push protects this base at the same time. Obviously, you can still see run-bys into the natural and the main base, but it's a little bit closer to home, so it's a little bit less spread out here from MMA based on where he wants his army to be to attack, plus where he wants his army to be to defend as well. Smedevac comes up the left-hand side and is going to be dropping in just the next few moments. A few more Ghosts continuing to come into play, as we are going to be seeing as Viking working its way through these couple of Overlords on the top. So Overlords are going to get picked away at here, and they are going to be taking quite a bit of damage. First Overlord drops, and the second Overlord as well continuing to move away. So again, Marines, not sure what they're doing up on this side. Nerchio is just expanding all over the place, by the way, and something MMA is going to start trying to deny with these drops around the map. Nerchio maxed out against the 160 supply MMA. He has such a scary force, though, I guess, to push into. So many tanks, the Ghosts as well. And I guess the Broodlords would be very effective against the tanks in general. But even then, there's still the Ghosts to worry about, as some more crew spread being cleaned out. It's a large attack over here, but again, because he's closer to the point he wants to where he's defending the 4th base / pushing to the natural, he's able to pull back and deal with it very easily. Again, if he was having to pull back all the way over here, it's a very different scenario. Nerchio is able to keep this hatchery in this position alive and going to be finishing. This hatchery had to be rebuilt in the last couple of moments. Again, tanks just setting up to the side, and going to be seeing more of these Ghosts continue to come out as well. Final set of upgrades from Nerchio and from MMA on the way. So those are going to be finishing up shortly, keeping the upgrade leads, or keeping the upgrades from both sides at a very similar point. As you're going to see Marines, Ultras, or Lings, Ultras, Roaches, Corruptors too, just gathering together off on the right side. And again, a little bit of creep spread being cleaned out on the south, as everything gathers together from MMA, and we again just wait to see what exactly will be next. There's another Ghost Academy coming through, so it's nuke time, baby. There's no reason to have more than one Ghost Academy for any other reason than nukes, and so it's time to start nuking around the map, as MMA and Nerchio really giving us one heck of a series here so far. Gonna start killing off some of his Marauders here in the later stages, targets those down, and generally looks as though he's just cleaning out a lot of his bio. Maybe he's going to still drop the Marines around the map and trade them out in that way, but he really just wants to clean up a lot of his supply to be able to make more Ghosts, and well, he is actually making more Marines, so obviously he wants to keep those in play. Just doesn't feel like the Marauders have much to add to this. One of these tanks on Sieges and a Liberator will siege up on the left-hand side as well again. Another command center just setting up at the front here, as again Ghosts, Marines pulling back in towards the central position. Again, a couple of nukes on the way up, more command centers are building too, and the third upgrade on this engineering bay. This armor upgrade is going to be finishing the last upgrade which is needed. Love the Nidus network coming down from Nerchio. That's something which will allow him here to later in the game start harassing around in different locations, maybe some Nidus in the main base, start pulling those Ghosts out of location for larger fights elsewhere on the map. Not sure about the Neural Parasite in the ZVT, but I'm sure we'll see how Nerchio intends to use it as he gets it on the Infestation Pit. Now, he doesn't even have that many Infestors. One. No, so not really is the answer. As you're going to see, this first nuke is coming down. MMA, he's starting that nuclear warfare. And, well, Nerchio waiting until the last seconds to maybe pull away here, and he does pull away. Is he going to kill the Ghost? He kills the Ghost, but he still gets 7 drone kills overall in the last couple of moments. Mostly from that nuke, which did just about come down in time. We saw a lot of nukes yesterday in the Optimus versus Snoot series, and Snoot wasn't having a great time dealing with those nukes game after game. So good to see that Nerchio's a little bit more on point with spotting them and able to pull away here so far. It's going to be seeing still these ghosts continue to move on forwards. There's going to be seeing creep spread. A little bit can be picked off away at here perhaps. Another nuke on the way up, as we're going to see. Oh, the Ghost though. Whoa. Whoa. What's going on there? What was that? I don't even know what that death animation was, but he was doing the loop-de-loop on his... I don't know. I have absolutely no answer for you guys. It's MMA. But he's played a very slow-pacing game. He's now slowly pushing forwards. I mean, the issue is he can't just sit on these 4 bases forever. As soon as he pushes further to the left, though, Nerchio comes in from the right. I mean, one Ghost here, a couple of tanks in the planetary. Sure, it buys some time. Does it buy enough time? Nerchio backs away as MMA begins to bring some more of his units back over to the right-hand side here. And we're just going to be seeing another cloaked Ghost. Doesn't want to go there because the Overseers are around and available. Now that nuke is going to come on down on top of some of this army as he's distracted to his left-hand side. Some nukes going down here. Nerchio has to deal with that right now. He's not moving that army. Okay, now he does. He sees it last moment, and that nuke will finish landing, and he will be able to pick away at that hatch. Just a little bit. But now the Ghost will go down, so not much else to be gained as Nerchio, I guess, does he want to take this base? Is that how he's going to try and continue his expansions here? His Ghosts are going to get some snipes off. They just get the snipes in before the Ultras actually manage to connect. Cutting away now. He actually dodges the Fungal Grove too. The Zerglings go down pretty quickly, and now some more snipes. Going to get rid of the Ravagers and targeting the Corruptors as well. The Ghosts here defensively have worked wonders, and it is going to start building up the efficiency of this MMA army. He needs to trade efficiently right now because obviously Nerchio has already built up a massive bank, and he's starting to mine from just bases all over the map as well. And what's especially interesting is that Nerchio focuses on mining this left-hand side early, even though MMA, he actually wants to, you know, focus on mining on this side of the map himself through the south side. So both players with such different expansion patterns here is interesting because this map, you know, there's not many bases on the map. As you can see, oh my god, those Ghosts are kind of fully surrounded. They're going to go down. A big loss for MMA. He has to rebuild a lot of that very quickly. More Ghosts here in the natural. They need to cloak up or something, but I guess there's Overseers. I mean, you're going to see a few more snipes, and the Ultras goes down at least. You're going to see more snipes on the Overseers, so now the Ghosts could cloak if they need to. MMA loses a lot, but Nerchio loses a heck of a lot as well. These Broods are out on their own. MMA should be able to get some snipes down and kill off 2 of those, and those Broods do drop. Some Broods dropping pretty quickly there. Resources lost again. Stays about the same. So MMA still needs something just a little bit better than that, because you can see his bank's depleted, and Nerchio still has 4.5, 5k in the bank on both minerals and gas. So Nerchio still has a lot to play with. Meanwhile, MMA, he really is running out of money. He needs to do something here in the near future. Some SCVs going down. Ling's running by into this mineral line. There was some of these SCVs that were long distance mining as well. As MMA is maybe going to decide to take this right hand side base instead. But obviously he just leaves this base to get picked off. So he's kind of taking a fresher base, but sacrificing the base that was still mining for it. That's not really ideal, as MMA's worker count dropping quite dramatically now. 17 workers lost to CC, even going to be burning. I mean, I'm not sure if MMA gets a few SCVs there in time to actually repair this. He has another orbital. I mean, he has a lot of orbitals around the map, as he just needs to clean up this burrow Zergling at the moment, causing him some issues in landing. Ghosts again have to be somewhat careful. They do deal with the Zerglings pretty well. Just needs to not get surrounded too quickly. As you can see, oh my god, MMA has so many units in the main that are just not coming out, and those Ghosts get fungled, so they walk into the Ultra because their snipes get cancelled. That was disastrous. I mean, suddenly 5 more Ghosts go down that shouldn't have fallen. It's a big difference, a big loss there. I mean, you need every unit you can stay alive, and it's little moves like that that will swing things in Nerchio's favor. You can see this fight was much better for Nerchio than previous fights. Probably also helps that so much of MMA's army was stuck in the main base, not being rallied out. That's actually a huge detriment to him. As Nerchio just plays swapsies. Okay, this base lands over here, sure. I'm just going to borrow another Zergling where that base I denied was. And he just keeps that up, as we're going to be seeing more of these Zerglings setting up and coming across and seeing if they can perhaps achieve something towards this new orbital. A lot of mules here, and actually not really a lot of defense right away. Then we relied on a couple of siege tanks, which again, not really the best against Zerglings in general. You can see that these Zerglings are having the time of their lives. Eventually they go down, but picking off a siege tank and SCVs in the process, definitely not a wasted set of Zerglings there. As we're going to be seeing more units in the center. 21 minutes in. This is game number 2 of Nerchio versus MMA at the moment. There's a couple of Vikings, 4 more Ghosts on the way out. Alright, just going to be seeing another Liberator sieging up on this right side. Lingers, Banes, the Corruptors too, still pushing forwards. Slowly but surely, Nerchio's bank is being depleted. It was 7k against, it was 7k minerals and gas once upon a time, but now it's 3k, 4k of minerals and about 2k gas. So he's definitely running out of resources here slowly, Nerchio. Surprised he doesn't have the extractors on this top right base and this base as well already mining, because usually it is gas you'll run out of first. Just going to be seeing these Marines to the bottom side are actually dealing with those Zerglings pretty well. They push those away without much issue. That's a good defense here, as we're going to be seeing the Ghosts need to come back into play, but oh my god, the Infestors do grab a Fungal. The Banes rolling in as well. Some Ghosts left over, sniping down Corruptors. Needs to make sure he has the energy to still deal with the Broodlords in the latter stage of this, though, and he will try to chase. He gets a couple of snipes, but not actually enough to kill, because they're spread out across the Broodlords. Alright, well, MMA, he survives this attack. He's going to push up towards this top side. Ghost's going to try and lead the charge in towards this here. They need to be careful. Those Spines are dealing some damage. He does pull them back. Marines pushing in as well. The Liberator is sieging up to help hold this position. I mean, Nerchio just says, okay, well, if you're going up here, I'm just going to attack straight into your mineral line once again. Heavily oversaturated mineral line at that as well, by the way, because MMA has just struggled to hold more than 4 bases at a time throughout the entirety of this map. Cyrus realization. He deals with the top right-hand side. Maybe that's where he's looking for his next base to be. But again, it's a base that Nerchio's already mined a little bit from here throughout the game. As right now, he might not even get to the stage where he's able to mine from it. His Bane's rolling in over on this side. A few more snipes trying to come down, but the snipes are being cancelled. The Ghosts being damaged. The Banes are just a little bit too much. And Nerchio is looking to tie this series up 1-1 as he rolls on in with more of these Banelings. There's the GG. Nerchio ties it up. Admin, as we get into this now. As we do get on into this. First of all, just very quickly before we start, just want to say thank you to Online Strategy. I don't know. Coming with the cheer 50 in the chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate the cheer 50 and the 50 bits. And let's go into this game then on Arashi. To the top left hand side, our green Terran player is MMA. This map here by Avex. As he comes in with a rush map from the TLMC. To the bottom right hand side, it's our red Zerg player. It is Nerchio. Alright. So getting into this and getting ready to go. We do just see Overlord coming up towards the top side. And waiting to see just exactly what the initial build orders bring us this time around. Remember, so far we've just seen Hatch Gas Pool each game. And it's going to be the same again from Nerchio. Last game he tried to change things up just slightly. As he, with that slight change up, he basically kind of went for a few Zerglings to apply some pressure, but he wasn't so successful right away. I mean, he was very cautious in keeping units at home to defend. We'll see if it's going to be something similar this time around. Actually, interesting that we see 2 rush maps in a row here getting picked out. So cool to see. We actually have all 3 of the rush maps in this map pool, by the way. Dreamcatcher is the 3rd map, which is a rush map. That'll be played as map 5 if we get there. As we are actually guaranteed to see Treachery for map 4, and that's going to be exciting. The map by Young Rustler, which is really macro heavy and could really give us one hell of a TvZ. So looking forward to that as well. And that's what you've got to look forward to in this series alone. And after this, we do have the ZVZ with Solar versus Bly, and then we are also going to be having the TVP between Innovation and Mana to wrap up the day. Just want to reply to you guys as well in the chat very quickly. A lot of people asking what happened to Björn. Björn told me that he did not want to play anymore, and so he forfeited his spot in the tournament, and we replaced him with 3rd place from the group which he advanced from. And that's why Björn is not playing here today. As you see, this Overlord is next to our big little Protoss cannon shooter. A little bit better than the normal photon cannon, but let's move away from that because it does make quite a bit of noise. As we do have these few Zerglings coming up through the center of the map. Going to be approaching the top side of the map in the next couple moments. As they push in, we're going to be seeing the CC going to start morphing into an orbital, single circle going onto the SCV, and we do see the Marine is going to be there to protect. So I think it's not going to achieve too much. Meanwhile, the Reaper was actually, was it non-existent? Did it go down? Apologies, I missed the Reaper dying in the process of following that Overlord and watching our little cannon and talking a little bit about the map. But yeah, we do see these Zerglings going to head back across the map. So that's why the Zerglings, I guess, did originally move across here, because they got the kill on the Reaper, and it is this Zergling here which killed it. And then they moved across the map as a follow-up. But Marine was there to protect, and now we see Hellions on the way up as the tech lab is made, well, it's kind of emptied for this starport to maybe jump onto if he wants it. As we're just going to be seeing Viking and a couple of Hellions coming up as well. But Nerchio going into the Roach run once more, similarly timed to the previous game when he went Roachers. Obviously last game we saw him with that kind of little bit of a Roach attack initially to slow MMA down, while also then just droning heavily behind it. So that's going to be a possibility here once again. It's pretty quick map to move through the center of course. So that's definitely going to be a possibility here, as that Roach run will finish in a moment or two. This lair about to finish, or start up from Nerchio, very similar to the last game, really just mirroring himself. We'll see how that continues. Even this Overlord, I feel, going down at the same time. As the Viking pops out, he starts Cloak to kind of fake this out. MMA is obviously looking to kind of show Nerchio that this is researching. Is that, I just feel as though that was like maybe cancelled too soon again. Anyways, you see the Raven is on the way. And is going to be popping out in the next couple of moments. Thank you, Online Strategy DK, who actually says, the Cheer 1, says that his name is Online Strategy with DK me in Denmark. Thank you for the bits, mate. Sorry that I got your name so wrong, but now I know for the future. Viking going to get another Overlord kill, which supply blocks Nerchio. As Roach is coming across the map, maybe that's the time for him to poke, but well, maybe it isn't. We see a couple more Cyclones on the way from MMA. An Armory coming down too, and maybe it's time for MMA to get back in towards his kind of, well, his kind of mech play this time. Cloak Banshee to follow up as well, or just the Banshee. Now he cancels, going into the Liberator instead. Two Cyclones coming out. So the Cyclone Hellbat attack with a Raven involved. The Raven's what's so different about this. Euphemal likes an attack which is like Hellbats plus a couple of Cyclones, and then the Liberator goes into the main base at the same time. But this time we are going to be seeing the Raven. And with the Raven instead, I'm intrigued to see what he uses it for. Auto turrets, perhaps? I mean, Interference Matrix. What would you drop an Interference Matrix on as a Terran against a Zerg? Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe a Scrambler Missile is a possibility. We're about to find out here. MMA is moving forwards. He's got the energy to do whatever he wants with this Raven. So we will see. The Hellbats morphed in. There is a few Roaches out, of course. The Queens joined together as well to help with this defense. It looks as though MMA is happy to just back away, and so far just using the Raven to clean up some creep spread. I mean, that's a completely viable way to use it as well, of course. And again, just saying, okay, well, you've made enough units to defend this. I'll just back away for now then, as the extra factory's coming up. For the second time this series, MMA is going to fall back to the mech play. Plus one missile attack is on the way up here from Nerchio. We're going to be seeing more Roaches and Zerglings on the way out. Just going to see this Liberator sieges up, and we're going to see a few drones going down. This Zergling going to get picked off as well. Some Queens coming in and going to be picking this Liberator off too. Meanwhile, Roaches, though, through the center of the map. Auditor is dropping down to help fight here. MMA, does he have tanks already up? No, and so this attack for the Roaches and Ravages could be a little bit deadly. This counterattack, oh man, this is going to be a little bit rough. It's going to be the Cyclone going down. I mean, the Hellbats are trying to buy time out the front for this first tank to finish, but it's just not even close. And MMA knows it. He has to type out the GG, and Nerchio is going to take the lead in this series 2-1. Or Treachery by Young Rustler. The large macro focus map. This could be a long one, as we have to the bottom right hand side our blue Zerg player up 2-1 right now in this series. Let's hear it if you're cheering on Nerchio. He's going up against the green Terran player to the top left from Team Expert MMA. I kind of wonder, sorry, if Nerchio will look to rejoin Team Expert. They were previously, the people that run Team Expert, or the organization behind it, was kind of behind Acer Esports, which of course Nerchio was a part of. It's why Scarlet rejoined them, Bly rejoined them. It's why MMA has joined Team Expert as well, I imagine. They have very good relationships with that team. So I do wonder if it's something that maybe Nerchio looks at as a possibility now, or if they're even looking for more players. So you just have the Overlord coming up towards the top side. MMA will be going in towards his very standard Reaper Expand opening once again. I mean, the first 2 or 3 minutes, we've seen pretty much the same opening each game so far, so probably not looking to change it up just yet. Definitely time for it to change a little bit, chance for it to change a little bit later on. And just to kind of show you guys around the map a little bit, I suppose, then, while we're waiting, and why is this map such a macro-focused map? Well, first up, just straight up the size of it is obviously pretty decent. So you got this natural up here, and it comes out, and it's all on this high ground up towards the third base. And obviously you can basically hold these 3 bases with 1 choke point here and a ramp there. One of the easiest, very easy free base to hold. When it comes down to 4th base, all you have to do is move down this ramp, and all of a sudden you have another huge choke before anyone can attack into your 4th, and so again, it becomes very easy to take a 4th. You've got a gold base, which is actually pretty well protected as well here. Okay, it's a bit more out there, but even still, it's very difficult to attack into, and that's what makes this map so macro-friendly. Just the ability to sit back and defend en masse, basically, and while having a lot of bases, is really going to allow these players to maybe really take us into a very long TvZ. Factory, as it finishes, is going to get ready to swap with the factory. Neither player really, again, switching it up despite the size of the map or anything. The Reaper is out, but is actually on this other side. The Ling's going to go across, and well, the Hellions should be on the way out soon, so this shouldn't be too much of an issue as the Reaper confirms the 3rd hatchery, so some good scout information so far. Ling speed will be finishing very soon as those Zerglings of Nerchio going to be arriving up to this top side, and that fresh mule, that's actually probably the most annoying thing that could have happened here for MMA with that Reaper out of position. He knows it's not worth pulling it back, though. He knows his Hellions are on the way, and they'll deal with that in the near future. And so you're just going to be seeing these Zerglings nibbling away again. Some bits and pieces of damage. You're going to see one SCV going down, and oh, this is actually quite nice. That one Ling already pulling away to the side actually bought time for these other Lingers to get a couple of kills there in the end. So that's 2 pick-offs. Not bad at all for those 4 Zerglings just getting across the map, and the Reaper at that stage as well knows that Ling speed will be finished, and so he's going to just start pulling back as himself. Doesn't want to stay on the map because as Ling speed is done, well, what is there to stay on the map for? As this Reaper pulls back to the top side, and just going to be seeing these 2 Zerglings running in from the right. There's one Marine starting to work its way through those couple of Lings once again. Already an SCV going down, and there's going to be seeing this other Zergling going down as well. Still, Nerchio really making the most of these very kind of low number of Zerglings, picking up SCVs here and there as MMA is going to play Bio here on this nice large map. So swapping, alternating between Mech and Bio every game so far. God, I would love it if you could take us to game number 5 and we'd see Dreamcatcher if we do get to that 5th game. Honestly, I feel like MMA, really in the last game that went Bio and late game, he struggled to take another base, and that's what really cost him in the end. He sort of ran out of money. 1 or 2 bad trades as well, but I think a lot of good trades along the way. And so I feel as though on this map, you definitely can get into those extra bases, which he was missing out on last time around, expand more, have the extra economy to play with. Now, obviously, that's going to be true for Nerchio as well, but it's not going to be any crazier than it was on Cyberus, because Nerchio had so many bases on Cyberus that he couldn't even mine from them anyways. So it's going to be a much better scenario here for MMA, who will be able to actually hold and mine from bases this time, perhaps. And if he's able to do that, it could have a much different outcome, even if the setup, the compositions look very similar going in towards the latter stages. Just going to see this Viking working his way through. The Overlord is going to get the kill here. Some 1 kills so far, as we see the missile upgrade coming through on the Evolution Chamber. A 2nd Evolution Chamber as well, dropping down now from Nerchio to continue his, well, missile-based upgrades. Going into the Hydralisk Den missile-based upgrades, so maybe he doesn't quite know that this is... Has he seen Bio? Not necessarily just yet, so not necessarily knowing what this is. Going to be playing that Hydra Ling Bane style. I mean, does he have a Bane? Yes, he does. No Baneling speed just yet, though, right? But playing the missile upgrades, so going to be very dependent on the Hydralisks. We'll see how that works out for him, as that's not actually a completed wall off there. There's a slight gap that Zergling was running through. Yes, MMA knows it, and I guess he'll fix it once this orbital moves out towards the 3rd base. So orbital lifts, moves off to the side. Going to be seeing 1-1 upgrades coming in through here still from MMA. Combat shields as well on their way up. Meanwhile, missile upgrades coming through from Nerchio. Back down to the bottom right-hand corners. An infestation pit will come down behind the mineral line as well. And just going to be seeing these Zerglings running forwards and going to grab themselves already a Reaper kill. Nicely done as we see some Marines, a couple of Hellions and a couple of tanks setting up also to keep on fighting here. Another couple of Zerglings going down. And still just going to be seen as a little bit of a push with Stimpack finished. Well, the great thing about it is that there's just enough units here to basically lift up in the medevacs and leave. You know, you save 2 of the tanks and most of the Marines. You know, you get out of there without losing anything. It's a good push onto the 4th base. Tanks drop down, they deny a creep tumor. And now they're sieging, and that 4th base will be in some trouble. I mean, Nerchio's pulling himself around the top side. So he's going to be able to engage onto the tanks. MMA actually pulls back to fight this here. I mean, slow Balin's off a creep. MMA is just going to kite backwards, and so far the micro is pristine to make the most of. There's a couple more Banes. He targets down. Oh, he misses a little bit. MMA was not really, you know, obviously he's been away for a while. And when MMA actually left StarCraft 2 to join the to go do his military service, he actually, you know, targeting down Banelings like Beyond wasn't really a thing back then. So maybe that's something that's still relatively new to him, because that wasn't maybe as crisp as it was meant to be. Initially it was great splits over here, pulling back. He dealt with this bottom side set of Bane so well. Eventually he was cleaned up through the top side. I still wouldn't say it was a bad trade for him. I mean, the Medivac and some Marines are still surviving. He killed off a lot of units. I mean, every Baneling was used up in that trade. And that's, you know, that's annoying, because if Nerchio wants to be truly safe, he'd probably have to make some more Banelings here in the near future, and that's going to take away from his Hydralisk count. Do have this Marine coming back over to the left. Some more Marines spreading out as well. MMA going through the center of the map, and we're just going to be seeing a Hive Tech from Nerchio going to be finishing shortly. It's not wasting any time with Hive this time around. He was a little bit slow with the Hive Tech back on that blue shift back on map number 1 against the mech play, which did hurt him a bit, but this time he's going to have Hive up nice and quickly, and I imagine the tech towards Ultras will be pretty quick to get going. All of these Marines down the right side as Lings run in, going for the surround. Hydra's coming in as well. As we're going to see these Marines continue to kite back away over to the right, lifting up into that medevac. And again, just look at the creep spread. That's one thing that MMA has not done much of a job of at all throughout this game. He's not done anything to clean up this creep, so he really could be, or really could try and push some of this back, perhaps. So I'm just going to be seeing this overseer, just pulling a big end back through the center, gold base. Being taken by MMA, and well, I wonder if he can hold that right away here, actually. Well, all of his units, he's got a lot of units just stacking up on that depot at the front part of his wall off. His Marines dropping into the back of the mineral line and into the back of this base over here, so MMA just doing what MMA does best, save Marines when the drop gets into a little bit of trouble, but otherwise dropping all over the place and starting to really deal some damage as he stims forwards. He's going to get some of these Lings running free. He might lose one of these medevacs, but he does have the other. He's continuing to fight those Hydras too, and again, there is that one medevac that does go down. This medevac's been pretty much shut down as well, so good defense by Nerchio, but again, still nice by MMA. He does get some pickoffs for what he lost there. Ultra's having about to finish Nerchio. Well, one thing that MMA saw of Nerchio, I suppose, is that he saw the Hive Tech, right? He knows this is over, this is finished, and so he knows the adrenal glands have started. He knows that he should be beginning preparing for the late game sooner rather than later. And so that's what MMA is perhaps going to set up for here. As you can see, the Queen goes down, but not before they gets the medevac. But still turns this into 4 more drone kills, and maybe even a couple more towards the latter stage of this here. 8 kills, wow, he doubled the number and beyond. 9 kills in total. MMA just finds those opportunities with those drops every single time it feels like as 2 medevacs load. They go over to the left-hand side. One of the weaknesses of MMA is he has been losing a lot of his medevacs because of these drops, but, well, I mean, at least he's not Milton Liberators yet anyways. I wonder if he'd like to, if he didn't have to replace the medevacs so often. I mean, I guess right now his starport not even in action, so obviously he can't mean, you know, he can't be too kind of worried about it. He's going to be seeing some of these Banes getting found before they've done morphing. We're going to see, ooh, some of them do manage to connect here. And some Marines have to load up in the end, and the Marauder going to tank the rest of the damage there. Nicely done, shielding the rest of that army. As we're going to see these siege tanks getting to work, picking their way through some of the Zerglings, the Hydras pulling back away to the right-hand side. Nerchio not finding a way through just yet, and again, may just be waiting towards Hive Tech, waiting for Hive Tech here before he really tries to push in towards a fight. Those Ultras up, they do defend for now. Kindness playing about a finish as well, so it is timing for those Ultralisks to perhaps come forwards and to engage into this. Hydras are going around the right-hand side. MMA's already relocated his a little bit of his army to come in and fight those Hydras. Those Hydras are on their own, so they're in a little bit of a dangerous spot, and you can just see the stim forwards is already going to get a lot of them. And some Banes about to finish too, as the Hydras will turn to fight this. I just don't think those Banes are going to do enough. Too much bio and obviously off creep as well. MMA is continuing to just do so much damage. Meanwhile, though, Lings is going to start pushing in, but those Hydras are now dead, so you can just focus on dealing with this attack on the left side, and well, MMA is just continuing to shut this down so quickly and easily. Those Ultras get pushed back. This one's going to fall as well. I mean, that's another expensive 6 supply. No way does it go down. The Marine is chasing it. That one hit point Ultralisk is just able to survive. What a way for it to get out of there. Very nicely done. Oh my god, that Marine is still hunting. The Ultralisk got 4 hit points. I cannot believe it gets away. As you see, the Overlord now going to get taken down as well. And MMA is still just pushing through the center, sieging up those tanks. Marines are going to split up, and here we go once again. And Nerchio is pushing up this ramp into this position, as we're going to see a couple of these Ultras going down once more. It just feels like MMA has a bit too much momentum right now from that previous fight, as he continues to push down to the south side. Another scan and some more of these creep tumors once again being picked away at. Another siege tank does siege, and we're just going to be seeing this hatchery is taking a little bit of damage here once again. Oh man, well, another counterattack up to the top side. We're going to put that on the picture for you all to see just how successful it will be. As meanwhile, this army is continuing to push their way through this hatchery. The Sling is not doing too much. 6 SCV kills a couple of tanks, but that is about it. There's just a few more in the mineral line, actually, which are still causing some chaos. MMA missing out on the response to that, meaning that he's actually going to lose 17 workers and still counting a little bit here towards the end. Wow, very nicely done here by Nerchio. A large counterattack that pulls him right back into this, perhaps. MMA backs away to deal with it, and it gives Nerchio some time to breathe, to set up more Ultras, and to just stabilize his position, which really wasn't looking pretty a couple moments ago. MMA just rebuilds 4 SCVs at a time. As you can see, his new 5th base is going to be defended so easily. More Ling's going to stream into this left side, which is just where MMA had this difficulty dealing with before. This time he just pulls the SCVs away very simply, nice and quickly. He's got a couple tanks kind of in range, and he's got obviously the bio coming back over to deal with this eventually as well. Loses a few supply depots, but nothing monumental. MMA, his defense is good, and Nerchio, he's bought himself the time to set up into more Ultras. Now still, he hasn't gotten in towards the Greater Spider just yet. As I say it, Greater Spider is starting in the production tab, so he's going to start getting to the next stage of the game. Until now, he's not been able to get into the next stage of the game because he has been under a lot of pressure, and so he's just been having to build pure Ultralisk basically alongside the Ling Bane to stay alive. But now he's got the opportunity and some breathing room. The Greater Spider comes back onto his agenda, and he prioritizes that pretty darn quickly. As we're going to be seeing Ultras, Lings, another few Banes back up this right side once again. Medevac again pushed away through the centers. We're going to be seeing these Lings, Banes, and Ultras again over to the right. We're going to see nice little multitasking here from Nerchio, hitting from 2 sides. It's gone a long way for him. We're actually not seeing ghosts at the moment from MMA. Instead, he's throwing down extra starports and a fusion core, so maybe just going to go in towards Liberators as his response this time around. It's just so weird from going from no Liberators at all on Cyberus Relay Station to now 4 starports to Liberators without any ghosts at all here on Treachery, as we see pushing forwards. Well, this creep spread being cleaned out every single time MMA moves on the map. Nerchio struggling to replace it all of the time. He's going to lose some of the active tumors up here as well. And as we're going to be seeing MMA still very careful though, pulling back once again. Another tank will unsiege. This kind of very centered, kind of choked up position works well for the Liberators and the siege tanks, which are so good at zone control. As you're going to be seeing this little bit of a force, which is clean creep, is going to get caught off guard, has to lift up and leave. That's the power of the medevacs. Well, now MMA in general might have to come back over to this right-hand side. Those Ultras are moving into position. Liberators siege up again. Maybe just the Liberators in response to the lack of Hydras here at the moment, based, after they went down initially, never really being replaced. Infestors don't have fungal energy for another second or two. There it is now, but I would say already a couple of Ultras going down, but look at those Banelings. Fantastic connections there as MMA has to get these tanks back in position. Now he gets them there, and they will start to fire away on these Ultras. He will be able to push them back, but man, that was a scary moment or two. And Ultras need to be careful with where they path towards right now. Nerchio continue to come in towards the right-hand side. Going to be seeing, oh my god, this entire army of MMA going to be able to basically just trap these Ultras, so they are pretty much done for. You'll see a couple of snipes to help out along the way, bring them lower, and again, those Ultras, there's no way they get out of this, and they don't even get anything else on their exit run. They go down, so a whole chunk there from Nerchio just lost out for no real gain. Obviously, they gained a little bit when they initially attacked, but getting themselves stuck in that corner, that really did suck. As you see Liberators start to siege up in mineral lines, doing further damage, keeping Nerchio in a position where he's going to have to keep on replacing kind of drones. And this Queen goes down, and that Ultra takes a beating as well. Taking a couple shots on an Ultra is now so much easier to pick that off in a later stage of this. Hatchery to the south side goes down also. Creep Tumor's getting picked off here as the Bio gets to work once again. Another Queen to the top also gets taken down as another Ultra runs on forwards. Marines and Marauder lifting up in those medevacs and pulling back to the right where the siege tanks were there to really help make this defense possible. Nerchio wasn't even properly moving into this. He stopped for a moment, giving the tanks an extra volley before this army arrived, and that's a devastating loss for Nerchio once again. A lot of banelings, all of those Ultras bar one. Painful, painful stuff as MMA keeps the supply lead. A Ling counterattack will deny this orbital command that flew out from the main base just moments ago. So no mining, no muling just there for now. This third base is actually full of minerals that could be taken once more. Maybe he's just going to save those for mules at that moment, but I feel even just retaking the gases is something they should be looking for. I mean, maybe right now he doesn't need the gas, so that's definitely something we've got to keep in mind, but I would like to see him make sure he doesn't just give up on any use of this base at all. Alone 2 Marines to the bottom right side, unfortunately for some reason, are out of position, so they will go down. New command center in the top right corner. That's not going to last very long either. The Zerglancy of Nerchio are able to run on in, and they are able to get rid of that CC nice and quickly. As you see, this orbital to the left-hand side is able to drop down as well. Advanced Ballistics finally on the way up. He's had that fusion core a while, but maybe he was just focused on actually just straight up just spamming out the Liberators to stay alive until this point. 18 minutes in, we expected that this could be one of the longer games, and it definitely has been so far. Not quite as long as Cyprus Relay Station, but it's getting there, and this one really doesn't look as though it's going to end in the immediate future either. Please no cast occurs. We're going to be seeing the planetary force here good enough to defend against these Banes, and actually should be the SCVs back there to repair in time. Planetary will stay alive. Very well dealt with by MMA, and unfortunately Nerchio didn't commit enough to this attack to really be able to pick off that planetary. Need just a little bit more, a few more Banes to maybe actually get some SCVs, keep them chased away so they couldn't come back to repair. That club before that got picked off made the planetary real MVP, 25 kills on it. And we made mainly focusing his army on the left-hand side to defend here. These ghosts setting up as well. Tanks moving out in towards the center too, and 18 Zerglings currently on the way up. As Nerchio will be gathering. Again, only really being Ultras so far. Corruptors are now out, but it's just been difficult for him to attack up beyond this because, again, he was under some pressure a lot in the earlier stages, and again, now he does have a Great Aspire, but he needs to keep these Corruptors alive to deal with the Liberators initially, and then morph in the Brutals once the Liberators have been taken down. So that seems to be his current goal. You're going to see some Ghosts getting trapped over here. Bane's doing a great job of dealing some damage, because these last 3 Ghosts are just going to continue to be chased. They don't get a single snipe off at all. And that's painful, as you're going to be seeing. Well, Liberators continue to siege up to defend, and they will be able to shut down the majority of this Ling Bane Ultra Force. There's just units all over the place. Well, the planetary force looks as though it'll be good enough over here. These tanks are actually going to be able to fight these Ultras, and they will go down. The +3 weapons on the tank goes an absolute enormous way to keep them safe against the Ultralisks. Very nicely done to clean up pretty much every location at once there. MMA takes a series of victories, which are going to stack on top of each other. Maybe give him enough to push on through. Of course, if he wins this, he ties the series up, and we go to a 5th and final game between the two of them. Well, Liberators out in the center, looking to siege up perhaps once again. Just looking to try and find those Ultras out of the location, or trap them into a pathway where they do have to pull back through. Tanks are a little bit slow to siege up here. Obviously, the Liberators have not started to siege at all just yet. So there's not a lot to fight these Ultras. A couple of Ghosts in the back are currently not sniping. And this, all of a sudden, from MMA, has become an absolute, well, atrocity of a fight. I mean, this was not what he wanted at all. He is picking up some of these Corruptors, which is something at least. But man, this could not have gone worse, I don't think. Ultras just jumping onto the bio. Tanks weren't siege. Liberators weren't doing anything. They were fighting Corruptors. That's not what Liberators are made for. Liberators, Corruptors are made to pick off the Liberators. Messy fight for MMA, and suddenly Nerchio finds himself in the advantage here. As going to be seen as Planetary is being targeted down by the Ultras once again. The Planetary just got down. SCV is being chased away by this Ultralisk on the top side as well. A few more Marines coming in. Oh my god, why is he attacking his own SCV? I don't know. Drones are also going down. Liberators are doing good damage around the map to help keep MMA's economy in there. But now down 20 workers. A Planetary to the top side also going down. And MMA, I felt, was so very close in this game, but in the end, he's just not quite been able to make this happen. As going to be seen, well, the Ultras are just going to keep on rolling over this, and Nerchio is going to take the series, but what a fight MMA put up. GG. Nerchio is our second semi-finalist here.